Girls came out in 2004. Over 2 decades later, we're still quoting it, still studying it, still seeing ourselves in it. But here's the thing. Underneath all the Pink Wednesdays and the burn book and the cafeteria politics, this movie was teaching us something real about identity, about power, about what happens when you lose yourself trying to fit in. Today, we're going character by character, and we're pulling out the lessons that nobody talked about in film class. Section 1, Cady Heron, the danger of losing yourself to belong. Cady Heron starts the movie as possibly the most self-aware character in it. She's been homeschooled in Africa, she has zero social conditioning, and she walks into North Shore High School seeing everything with fresh eyes. And that's actually her superpower. She doesn't know the rules yet, which means she isn't afraid of them. But then something happens. She gets a taste of popularity, of being wanted, of being seen. And slowly, without even realizing it, she starts becoming someone else. She starts performing a version of herself that the plastics would approve of. She lets Regina George become the standard she measures herself against. The lesson here is one of the most important ones in the entire film. You can lose yourself so gradually that you don't notice until you're completely unrecognizable. Cady didn't wake up one day and decide to become mean. It happened in small choices. A laugh she didn't mean, a friend she ignored, a lie she told to get closer to someone who didn't even genuinely like her. The question this character asks us is, who are you when there's no social reward attached to your behavior? Because that's who you actually are. The It Girl lesson from Cady: know your original self well enough that you notice when you're drifting from her. Section 2. Regina George, power without substance is always fragile. Regina George is one of the most studied characters in pop culture, and for good reason. She is a masterclass in a very specific kind of social intelligence. She knows how to read people. She knows how to make someone feel chosen, and she knows exactly how to take that feeling away. But here's what the movie shows us that we often miss when we're too busy being intimidated by her. Regina's power is entirely dependent on other people's fear. The moment people stop being afraid of her, she has nothing. And we see this play out in real time. The second Cady starts dismantling her reputation, her world collapses because it was never built on anything real. It was built on control, on manufactured scarcity of approval, on making herself the only source of validation in the room. Regina is incredibly smart. She's strategic. She has charisma. But she uses every single one of those gifts to dominate rather than to build. And that's why, despite having everything, she seems deeply unhappy the entire film. The lesson from Regina is this: real influence doesn't require someone else to feel small. The woman who is genuinely powerful doesn't need a burn book. She doesn't need to tear anyone down because she's not threatened by anyone rising. Study Regina not to imitate her, but to recognize her in rooms you walk into, and sometimes, honestly, in yourself. Section 3. Janice Ian. Authenticity has a shadow side too. Janis is positioned as the real one in this movie, the artistic outsider who sees through the social games, who doesn't play by the plastics rules, who is unapologetically herself. And yes, there is something genuinely admirable about that. She knows who she is. She doesn't perform. She doesn't shrink. But here's what's uncomfortable about Janis. She uses Cady as a pawn in her personal vendetta against Regina. She frames it as justice, as exposing the truth. But a lot of it is just revenge wearing the costume of righteousness. The lesson from Janis is that being the authentic one, the real one, that identity can become its own kind of ego. You can be so proud of not being fake that you start doing things that are equally as manipulative, just with better branding. Authenticity isn't a personality type. It's a practice, and it requires constant honesty with yourself about your actual motivations. Are you doing this because it's right, or because it feels good to feel superior? Janice makes us ask that question.
Section 4. Gretchen Wieners. What people-pleasing actually costs you. Gretchen Wieners might be the most heartbreaking character in the entire movie, and nobody really talks about that. She is smart, she is loyal to a fault. She works so hard to be liked, to be included, to be enough for Regina. And Regina uses every single bit of that. She takes Gretchen's devotion and turns it into a leash. Gretchen can't say what she thinks. She can't wear hoop earrings if Regina decides she can't. She can't even be happy about something without checking whether Regina approves first. And the tragedy is, Gretchen knows. On some level, she knows exactly what's happening. There's that moment where she breaks down crying, saying, "I'm sorry I have all this stuff." She's not just talking about material things. She's apologizing for existing too fully in Regina's presence. That is what chronic people-pleasing does to you. It shrinks you. It makes you apologize for your own abundance. It has you performing smallness so that someone else feels comfortable. The lesson from Gretchen: loyalty is only healthy when it's mutual. Know the difference between being devoted and being used.
Section 5. Karen Smith. Underestimating yourself is its own kind of trap. Karen is the comic relief, the one everyone laughs at for not knowing Africa as a country or for thinking she can predict weather with her breasts. But watch Karen more carefully. She is genuinely joyful. She is kind, actually kind, not performing kindness for social gain. She doesn't have a single malicious bone in her body. And by the end of the movie, when the plastics dissolve, Karen lands on her feet completely fine. She moves on, she finds her thing, she's okay. The lesson from Karen is a gentle one. Don't let other people's assessment of you become your ceiling. Karen was treated like she was the least valuable person in that group, but she had something Regina and Gretchen didn't. She was never pretending to be anyone else. Sometimes the person everyone underestimates is the one who ends up the most at peace. Every character in Mean Girls is a mirror. They're showing us versions of patterns we all recognize in our schools, our workplaces, our friend groups, and sometimes in our own behavior on a bad day. The movie isn't really about Mean Girls. It's about what happens when your sense of self is borrowed from other people's opinions, when your worth is something you're constantly auditioning for instead of something you already own. The it girl doesn't graduate from high school and leave these lessons behind. She carries them. She knows which character she defaults to under pressure, and she chooses differently. So, which character did you see yourself in most? Drop it in the comments. I promise there's no wrong answer. And if this video made you think, share it with a friend who needs to hear it. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, loves!